In Algebra 1, Section 7.3, we're dealing with factoring x squared plus b squared, x squared plus bx plus c. Basically, this is a quadratic formula, okay, which quadratic equation means that the graph is a parabola, a U-shape. So we're not dealing with lines anymore, we're dealing with the U-shaped parabola. So in order for us to do this, we need to use a method to work when the coefficient of x squared is 1. So basically, this method that we're going to be using, this factoring method, will only work if this number in front is a 1. Okay? If there's other numbers, this coefficient other than 1, then there's other rules that are involved. So basically, if I have this and b or c are numbers, okay, I can put it into parentheses with x and x. And then here goes two numbers that the product equals c and the sum equals b. So two numbers when multiplied together gets me the value of c, and two numbers, the same two numbers when added together gives me b. These are my magic numbers that go here. It doesn't matter which order, it's just once I find it, it goes there. So if that confuses you, that's fine. Let's do an example problem. Maybe that will be a little bit more helpful. X squared plus 6x plus 5 is 1. So again, if you see all of these, there's no coefficient, no number in front of it except 1, because if there's no number there, we're assuming it's 1. If there is something else, then you have to use next chapter as your strategy. So we're going to find two numbers. So once I find this with coefficient 1, I can automatically put two parentheses here, and I need two numbers. Two numbers when multiplied together gets me 6. When multiplied together gets me 5, but when added together it gets me 6. Now, you could probably do this in your head, but we're going to do it over here. I'm going to take this last number and I'm going to factor it. So I know it's 1 times 5. I can also do -1 and -5 because the negatives cancel out. Now, if I add them together, -1 plus -5 gives me -6, and I'm looking for a positive 6. And 5 and 1 together, 5 plus 1 gives me 6. So that's my magic number. Those are my magic numbers. Okay, the two numbers, 5 and 1, if I multiply them together, gets me this last number, 5. So 5 times 1 is 5. But when added together, 5 plus 1 gives me 6. Okay? So plus 1 plus 5. Because it's positive, I put plus. So this is my answer. Right? If I want to check it, I'm just going to multiply it out real quick. X times the second, this whole thing, and then positive 1 times x plus 5. So I have x squared, right, plus 5x plus 1x plus 5. So what's going to happen is I end up with x squared, 5x plus 1x is 6x, and then plus 5 is there. So I'm going to end up adding the middle together and then multiplying them. So that's the reason why two numbers when multiplied together gets me the last number, but when added together gets me the middle number. Okay? So let's try the next one. So I'm going to put it here, two parentheses, x and x. So this should actually equal this. I don't know if that was clear when I combine like terms, because this becomes 6x. Okay? So I'm looking for two numbers when multiplied together gets me 15, but when added together gets me -8. So this is a little more tricky because we're looking for a negative number. So I know it's 1 and 5, but I also have 3 and 5 and -3 and -5. So because the positives give me a positive 8, I have to choose the negatives. All right? And so I take my magic numbers and I put it in here. -3, -5. If I'm not sure, I can multiply it out. But all I have to check is -3 times 5, -3 times -5 equals positive 15, right? And the negatives cancel out. And -3 plus -5 equals 8. So, all right, let's try the next one. The next one, I'm going to have negative 20 right here. And I need it to add together to be 1, because since there's no number, I'm assuming it's 1, but when multiplied gets me 20. So because my answer is negative, it means that when I multiply, one has to be positive and one has to be negative. So I know 4 and 5 has one difference, but I can't do positive 4 and positive 5, or negative 4 and negative 5. I have to do negative 4 and positive 5. Or I can do positive 5 and negative 4. Okay? Now the one I use is the one that adds up to a positive one, not negative 1. So 5 plus negative 4 is positive 1. Negative 4, one of these. Right, so negative 5 plus 4 is a negative 1, and negative 4 plus 5 is a positive. So this gives me a positive 1, and when multiplied together, it gives me a negative 20. So that's my magic number. So x minus 4 and x plus 5. And you can check it. Right, last one. Two numbers when multiplied together gives me 18, negative 18, but when added together gets me negative 3. So let's take 18 and start factoring it. I know I can do 6 and negative 3, or I can do negative 3 and 6. There's also 9 and negative 2, 2 and negative 9. I can do 1 and 18. There's lots of factors, but I'm looking for one that when added together gets me a negative 3. Let's see if I've discovered it. This gives me positive. Negative 3 plus 6 is positive 3. Oh, let's try here. These two are the same. But negative 6 plus 3 gives me a negative 3. So this, when added together, gets me negative 3. And when multiplied together, gives me a negative 18. So these two are my magic numbers. Negative 6 and positive 3. Right? Hopefully that makes sense. Go ahead and try page 276, numbers 8 and 11, 276, number 8 and 11, and I will see you in class.